Mahamudu Bawumia has bitten more than he can chew, following his assurances to nurses and midwife trainees of release of their allowances, which have been in arrears for months. Dr. Bawumia, at an event to commemorate International Nurses Day, revealed that plans are far advanced to release some 177 million cedis to clear arrears owed the trainee nurses. Well, according to him, the finance minister has confirmed this payment, which is to be effected by the Controller and Accountant General tomorrow, Thursday, May 16, 2024. Let's first listen to him.
Recalling the petitions from trainee nurses about the delay in the payments of allowances and the impact it has had on their practicals, the Vice President announced that the Controller and Accountant General is set to transfer over 177 million cedis for disbursement to them.
I wish to assure our nursing trainees also, because whenever I go, they say Alawa has not yet dropped. And so I engaged the Ministry of Finance, and the minister has in fact sent me the evidence that by Thursday, this Thursday, the controller is transferring 177 million Ghana cedis to the Ministry of Health to pay the nursing training allowances. So I have also alerted Dr. Okoboy to be on standby. When the money hits the Ministry of Health account, they should move it quickly to the accounts of the nursing trainees so that they will have their alawa. It will drop by the grace of God.
Well, certainly a bold promise by the Vice President there. And I've been joined in studio by my colleague Joshua Ayura, who has some breakdown really of these concerns enumerated by the concerned trainees in their press statement. Joshua, what more do you have to share?
Right. So just as I have here displaying the year group, the number of programs or year programs that they are supposed to undertake, and the outstanding arrears that is due the trainees, the nurses trainees there. Just as you played earlier, the Vice President indicated that by Thursday, which is the 16th of May, some 177 million Ghana cedis is supposed to hit the account of these trainees. But how did we get here? Now, the arrears that has actually plagued this particular policy over the years actually forced the NDC in 2014 to scrap this. The NDC, led by the former president, of course, during the Yeswa Mahama administration, indicated that there were several infrastructure within the health sector that had to be actually prioritized as against the payment or the issuance of allowances to these nursing trainees, which has become a bane for successive government. That became the main policy and campaign program for the MPP in 2016. And the NDC indicated that, look, it is better to lose on principles than to win with falsehood. So it became a swung to the advantage of the NPP, and they decided that in 2017, they had to restore the allowance. But after they restored it, we realized that they only owed 1 month. And then subsequently, we started seeing that hump that the ruling party had to actually get over. In 2018, the 2018 year group, who was supposed to complete in 2020, which is a 3-year program, were owed 3 months. In 2019, the year group was supposed to complete in 2021. Because of COVID, of course, they had to extend it to 2022, extend the program to 2022. They are being owed 4 months. In 2020, the 2020 year group, they are being owed 15 months, and 2021 year group are being owed 27 months. Now, these are the people that the Vice President indicated that the Controller and Accountant General is supposed to, by the 16th of May, which is tomorrow, they are supposed to issue or disburse these allowances to the accounts of these trainees. Now, the challenge has been that when you engage the coalition of concerned nursing trainees, they will tell you that the issue has been the financial clearance from the Finance Ministry. Now, once the Finance Ministry issues or waives that clearance, the Controller and Accountant General begins to disburse the money. But what has actually led to the hold-up of these monies are questions that we are still asking. And in 2021 to 2024 year group, they are the ones supposed to be receiving this 177 million Ghana cedis. Now, the 2022 year group, who are supposed to complete their program by 2025, there's an outstanding payment of 16 months, and 2023 to 2026, 9 months. It's not the case that some people have been paid and others have not been paid. The issue is that per every single trainee who's supposed to receive 400 Ghana cedis every month, the year groups have not received their monies. So that is the situation, Natalie, that we are still trying to understand.
Right.
As I indicated earlier, allowances has been the bane for successive government. And so there were concerns that let us fine-tune the draft of the student loans policy and then scrap it. But some are saying that we will still maintain and not, restore and maintain the allowance and not scrap it entirely. So this is the situation we find ourselves in.
Absolutely, Joshua. Thank you so much for running us through that. And clearly, many of them are concerned about the feasibility, really, of this promise put forward by the Vice President and the payment expected by tomorrow. That's Thursday. Now, in a related development, the Rotational Nurses and Midwives Association are also livid about what they say is neglect by the Vice President in his assurances made yesterday. They say that the government has been silent on the non-payment of their allowances since they began their service back last year. We've been joined via Zoom by GHOne Jr., president of the association. Thank you for joining us this evening, Kwame. It's good to have you. Now, what have you heard, really, as it pertains to your allowances by the government, and what's your current frustration?
All right, so good evening to our cherished viewers and listeners. So we are rotational nurses, and we've been in active service. We started our rotation in July last year, and we've done 10 to 11 months now. It's so sad to say that our monthly allowance that we are supposed to be taking are not being paid to us. And we have followed up several times with the ministry, writing series of letters, but to no response. And as it stands today, we don't know our fate. Because listening to the Vice President speak yesterday, talking about unemployment issues, giving them promises, promising the trainee nurses, but not mentioning anything about rotation nurses, make my members feel worried. They don't understand. We feel like maybe they are not aware there are a badge of rotation nurses. Nurses and midwives doing their national service in the country.
Right.
He's making promise because he was confronted. Maybe he is not aware. 9 months, we are 11 months into service without a Cedi of our said allowance. It's a very sad situation. There has been no communication. We took to the street to demonstrate. That was last month, 16th of April, only to hear that they were actually taking steps.
Very well. Now, Kwame, well, it seems like Kwame's Zoom has frozen there briefly. We'll be certainly engaging him to get clarity on this. And what he says is that for the past 11 months, these rotational nurses have not been paid anything. They haven't been paid a single Cedi since they began service 11 months ago. And Kwame, I believe you are now hearing me clearly. Okay, wonderful. So you said that this is for the past 11 months. You didn't hear the Vice President say anything really as it pertains to your payments over the past 11 months. First of all, what figures are we looking at? Approximately how much is owed you, the rotational nurses?
Okay, so in general, rotation nurses, we are 12,594. That's the general number. But we, those who are under Ministry of Health, we are 10,000, about 10,500. And it's the 10,000 that have not received a Cedi of their allowance. We have some portion of rotation nurses that fall under the National Service Scheme. For them, they've received some part payment of their allowance, not full, but part. But for we, the public trained nurses and midwives, who are under the Ministry of Health, that's the greatest number. Over 10,000 have not received a Cedi for the 11 months we've worked so far.
Over 10,000 of you haven't been paid for the past 11 months. Given that you
Yes.
say that the Vice President did not speak about it, what are your next steps going to be as per engaging the necessary stakeholders to ensure that these funds are released to you?
No, it's a very disturbing situation. And, as I speak to you, if you can see on your screens, I'm at work.
I see that.
I have to just take a short break to have this discussion. And it's sad to say that we, the 10,000, they are not able to pay us. And as we speak with you next week, that is just coming Monday, they've deployed 20,000 of rotation nurses to start their service. And they are also going to go through the same stress and toils we've gone through. This is a torture. It's like a slavery we are going through.
Right.
And most decisions that the association undertakes is by the members. We've held a demonstration, which we are not hearing or we are not getting a positive feedback from. The membership will decide on what next to do. But to state generally, from the comments we are receiving from our people, the rotation nurses and midwives are getting disappointed in the government, especially with the Ministry of Health, with how things are going concerning our welfare. We are very, very disappointed in how things are going because we are healthcare givers.
Right.
And emotionally, we are not fine.
Certainly.
Physically, we are not fine. Socially, financially, we are not fine. But we are expected to give those care to the patients in our care. How is that possible? So the ministry is really disappointing us in as much as they keep reassuring us. But to be real and honest, we are not happy with whatever is going on. We are still calling on them to do the necessary engagement. For us, I would say that our time has already ended. It's just in 2 or 3 weeks. We can say we will endure an end. Probably then we get our S-brashes. That's supposed to come monthly. But our juniors to come, they shouldn't go through the slavery we are also going through. It shouldn't be the right way that rotation nurses have to work for several months before getting their training allowances.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Kwame, for joining us there. Kwame Amble Jr. Very concerning situation that will be highlighting a lot further as per these payments being made to these rotational nurses. We'll bring you more on this issue subsequently. Now, let's turn to some other issues this evening, but still in a related development on healthcare. We'll bring you more on this shortly here on News Tonight. That wraps up Insight. You're watching News Tonight here on GHOne TV. Let's turn to some other issues now. The minority in Parliament has attributed the recent rapid depreciation of the Cedi. The local currency has lost ground to major trading currencies like the US dollar, euro and the pound sterling. Some analysts are projecting 18 cedis to a dollar by the end of this year.
Addressing the media in Parliament, Minority Leader Dr. Cassiel Ataforson said this development is negatively impacting businesses and individuals. The former Deputy Finance Minister charged the Vice President and the head of the Economic Management team to immediately take steps to reverse the trend instead of dancing on the campaign trail.
Eurobond holders, $13 billion. Again, the President and his government, with his chairman of the Economic Management team, cannot service this debt. Okay? And $13 billion that we owe, these are commercial bond holders. And then we also owe commercial banks approximately $3 billion. The two put together is about $16 billion that we have failed to service this debt. We want to use this opportunity to urge the Vice President to quit his offbeat dancing on the campaign trail and focus on the dancing Cedi.
Dr. Forson further argued the over $300 million third tranche of the IMF bailout expected by the government to shore up the Cedi will not be available until July, given challenges with securing memorandum of understanding with external creditors.
Between Ghana and the official creditors committee, these are countries that Ghana have defaulted in the servicing of its debt obligation with, namely China. We can't service our debt with China. We owe them almost $2 billion, and President Akufo-Addo's government has decided not to pay. Apart from that, we owe Great Britain, UK, huge sums of money, and we can't pay. Parish Club members such as France, Germany, and all European countries, $360 million coming in July. From now till July, what will happen to our free fall of the Cedi? The Cedi can only continue to depreciate. And government is not taking action to fix the concerns that the businesses are raising. So there's a problem.
According to him, the managers of the country's economy are clueless in finding solutions to the depreciating Cedi, even as payments of debt are frozen Wondering what would befall the economy should debt repayment start.
Well, let's stay on this. The struggle of the Ghana Cedi against the US dollar seems to be the biggest bane of the economy. Despite the announcement of the withdrawal of foreign exchange support to goods classified as non-essential, the suspension of interest payments on foreign loans and an ongoing IMF support program, the Cedi in recent times has been on several days of depreciation streak against the dollar. But how bad is the current performance? Will dollarization stop the slide? Awisi Tete has more in this explainer.
Under the MPP, we have arrested the rapid depreciation of the cedi, and we will make no apologies for that. We have arrested the rapid depreciation of the cedi.
But not quite. The cedi is once again in a free fall. It really gets confusing how 14 cedis, 90 pesos at Forex Bureau, and 13 cedis, 1 peso given by the Bank of Ghana is now equivalent to $1. How did we get here? How did it get this scary?
Ladies and gentlemen, you will recall that I stated in 2014 that if the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate will expose you. That was true then, and it is true now. It is 100% correct.
The Ghana cedi for years has struggled against the major trading currency, with the current government grappling to find a lasting solution to what could be described as the biggest problem of the economy. In 2022, the cedi declined more than 55% between January and October. Ghana ended 2023 with a depreciation of 15.57% to the US dollar in the retail market, and on the interbank market, the local currency also lost about 27.81% in value to the dollar. Now, here is why the fall of the cedi hits. When the currency falls in value, import automatically gets more expensive. This means Ghanaian importers of both big and small businesses are struggling to stay in business due to the high cost of import and claiming of goods from the port. An importer buys a product with an exchange rate in mind, only to be hit with an outrageous increment due to how unstable the currency has become. Businessmen and women are almost broke because they are unable to finance already planned shipment. In short, businesses in Ghana are suffering. The ones who manage to meet the high exchange rate are forced to increase the prices of their products because who wants to run to a loss? This comes to how the depreciation of the cedi will contribute to high inflation rates in the local market. In October 2022, inflation surged to 40.4% year-on-year, driven by higher food and fuel prices in particular. Inflation for locally produced items was 39.1%, while inflation for imported items was 43.7% in October. Inflation will sharply erode the purchasing power of consumers, as prices for most products will go up almost every other week. Not to talk of the skyrocketing airplane tickets for business, health, or tourism, or should I say soft life trips. As the cedi loses ground against the dollar, travel costs skyrocket for Ghanaians, and those at home face a harsh reality of soaring living expenses. Black market dealings and dollar hoarding only worsens the situation, driving up prices across the board. The cedi seems to have escaped arrest, no longer subdued by IMF bailout, wreaking havoc on fuel and commodity prices, patiently waiting for its next victim. Yet, the government offers no clear roadmap to stabilization, however, leaving Ghanaians to navigate the storm alone. Maybe it's time for Ghanaians to start swapping cornflakes for cocoa, cutting down on import, and alleviate currency pressure. Demand policies that boost export, slash import, and fortify reserves. Things may be better. Did I hear anyone whisper? It is easier said than done. Of course, stabilizing the economy isn't rocket science. If the cedi proves too elusive, let's ditch it for the dollar. Let's dollarize the economy. These were the exact suggestions of Dr. GHOne of the Institute of Economic Affairs. But would this suggestion work? Well, brace yourselves as Bloomberg ranks Ghana's cedi as Africa's third worst performer this year. And unless swift measures are taken, we are in for a bumpy ride.
It is Sikaso. Omenyo Hiamai. Nenam amemua enko yenti no.
Well, we see Dede with that report. They will watch and continue to see just how much further the Cedi might depreciate. We'll bring you more in subsequent bulletins. You're watching News Tonight. Next, we've got Factometer. Stay with us. You're welcome back to News Tonight here on GHOne TV. In some more news this evening, before we turn to Factometer, officials of the Ghana Port and Harbours Authority and the Ghana Immigration Service stationed at the Tema port have clashed in what is believed to be a result of a misunderstanding in search of protocols at the port. In a series of videos cited by GH1 News, two port security officers are seen heckling an immigration officer disembarking off a vessel over a black bag. The scuffle eventually spilled into the offices of the immigration officers as the port officers insisted on effecting an arrest of the immigration officer in question. GH1 sources at the port revealed the misunderstanding started when the port officials sought to conduct a search on the contents of the bag in possession of the immigration officer after the officer returned with the bag after running immigration checks on vessels. So that's the situation you see on your screens there. Now, joining us via Zoom for a conversation on this development is security analyst Dr. Festus Obin. Good evening to you, Dr. Obin. Thank you for joining us here on News Tonight. Now, what's your general assessment of this particular incident?
Hello, good evening, and thank you very much for having me. And my apologies, I'm on my way home. I have to stop somewhere. That is why my video is a bit dark.
Very well.
Yes, so I think that it was quite unfortunate and very awful looking at the fact that both the port security and the immigration officers are supposed to ensure the safety and security at the port together with other allied agencies at the port, and for whatever misunderstanding to lead to this kind of treatment of an officer in uniform, I think was quite unfortunate and totally uncalled for, and could have been avoided if, the necessary, protocols were taken into consideration.
Very well. Now, Dr. Obin, we understand that the scuffle was over the content of a bag. What's the usual process for such off-boarding procedures?
Yes, so per the standard operating procedures, once there is any suspicion or once there is any doubt about any officer, when such routine checks are done, the port security can investigate, can do those searches to ascertain, whatever they are suspecting. And so if you look at the narrative or the reportage, the immigration officers were more or less, okay with the search.
Right.
But some are saying that it was because of gender considerations. That is why they refused the body search, but they actually searched the bag. And then we've also had the port authorities also talking about the fact that the issue was not about a man searching a woman or whatever. So I think that when we also hear from the immigration authorities, we'll be able to ascertain the veracity of some of the reported cases, both from the Ghana Port authorities and also from the immigration service. But usually, even when the immigration officers has refused, there is a need for the necessary protocols to be followed and not to, go to their offices to attack them the way, it happened. Because there are institutions at the ports that are mandated to at least deal with some of these situations. And I think that that should have been the process that should have been followed. and not what actually happened between the immigration officials and then the port security
Very well now. Dr. Obin, with that being said, certainly there is a need for more further details to ascertain the entire incident which occurred. However, with what you've observed so far, are there possible security implications and breaches with this incident from what you observed so far?
I mean, certainly, because the port security and then the immigration officials are supposed to work together to ensure the safety and security of the port and goods coming in to the country. And so when there's friction or feud or tensions between the two institutions, it undermines the work that they do to secure our ports. And so it is important that, I mean, whatever investigations that are being undertaken is done swiftly to identify what really is causing this problem beyond the incidents so that we can address the issue head on to avoid such situations in the future. And so certainly there has to be an investigation that will look into the matter and address the tensions to avoid any further situation in the future.
Dr. Festus, thank you so much for joining us with your reactions on this rather concerning development, really. Now, there's been a statement which has been released following this incident by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. I'm going to read out a few key sections of this statement. It's titled, Altercation between Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority security personnel and officers of the Ghana Immigration Service at Port of Tema. The Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority acknowledges recent reports and videos regarding an incident at the Port of Tema involving our security personnel and some officers of the Ghana Immigration Service. We wish to provide clarification on the matter. It further reads, on Monday, May 13, 2024, at approximately 6:30 p.m., an altercation occurred on board MVMSC DYM PHNA between GPHA security personnel and immigration officers, which escalated to the immigration office at the authority building at Tema 3. The incident stemmed from the immigration officer's failure to declare a package received from the vessel, which contravenes standard operating procedures established by the International Ships and Ports Facilities Security Code and Protocols. Now, it further reads that GPHA takes full responsibility for the actions of its security personnel involved, who have since been reprimanded. And it concludes by saying that the management of GPHA met with representatives from the Ghana Immigration Service as well as the Ghana Maritime Authority to further discuss the issue and have come to an amicable solution. It includes, but it's not limited to, some period of education and reorientation of all state agencies in tandem with maritime security procedures and protocols. So that's the release coming through from the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority following this development, which occurred today, as you just witnessed on your screen. More on that subsequently. You're watching News Tonight. Let's turn to some other news this evening. Academic activities in the Eastern region came to a standstill today as pre-tertiary teacher unions embarked on a demonstration in Koforidua. This protest is part of a series of labor activities aimed at demanding the immediate payment of allowances. The unions, comprising members of the Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT, National Association of Graduate Teachers, NAGRAT, and Coalition of Concerned Teachers, Ghana, expressed dissatisfaction with the government's failure to implement agreed-upon allowances since 2009 and after the 2020 agreement.
Complaining bitterly. These complaints have become worse, especially as our members are reeling under the utter hardship imposed on us all by the current economic situation. We wish to emphasize that the last 24 months have been the most tortuous for the Ghanaian teacher, with no ray of hope of relief initiated by the employer. Honorable Minister, Pursuant to the above, our demand is a call on the employer, once again, to honor its promises and commitment to our teachers by addressing our concerns over the allowances enumerated.
Schedule even to complete it by February of this month of this year. So it's not because of the election. Once our collective agreement have expired, there's a need for us to renew it. If we have been able to renew it before the end of last year, we wouldn't have been here. It's because we couldn't do that. That's why it has traveled to this far. So teachers, we are not talking because of the elections. We are even saying that it's for the past 15 years. So you can see the tragedy. We have been accommodating government upon government. But we are not doing partisan politics. Government will come, government will go. It's about our welfare, our collective interest as members of the association, members of the state.
I hope and believe the regional minister will not also rest shelving the petition. He will also forward it to the appropriate courts. As I was addressing them, I told them that the government is poised to make sure that whatever petition that they've sent or their grievances will be given the necessary attention. We've given them that assurance also that as much as the government is also working around to fulfill whatever promise for them, they shouldn't also rely.
You're watching News Tonight here on GHOne TV. It's now time in the bulletin for us to separate facts from fiction. So I invite my colleague, Vanessa Tutu-Adanso, to help me do so. Vanessa joins me with Factometer. Over to you.
Hello, Natalie. Thank you so much. You're welcome to the very latest edition of Factometer here on GHOne TV. Let's just delve quickly into the story that we are fact-checking today. And in a Facebook post made by Elikem Sewodo, former organizer of Keta NPP and regional communication team member of the Volta region, a claim was made. He posted a picture of ongoing road construction work with a claim that the work was ongoing on the Fodome to Hohoi Road. Mr. Sewodo subsequently explained that this picture was taken from Kikia's Court stretch of the Hohoi Road, adding that the work formed part of the second phase of the project. Now, since February 1, 2024, the post has received more than 71 reactions, 57 comments, and 11 shares from Facebook users. My colleague Faisal Abdul Idrisu, who has received training from fact-checking from Dubawa, went on a fact-checking mission and joins me via Zoom with the very latest on this development. Faisal, thank you so much for your time. Now, is Mr. Elikem Sewodo's claim that the ongoing road construction correct, and why?
The claim is not correct. The claim is absolutely false. Now, I take you down the journey regarding this very post. The road we are talking about is from Fodome to Hohoi. Now, prior to the 2020 elections, work actually was done on that road. President Akufo-Addo and John Peter Mawu, during the campaign trails, I remember vividly, touted that as one of the achievements of the MPP government at the time, and urged residents in Hohoi to vote for John Peter Mawu to become their first ever MP here in the Volta region, as far as the MPP is concerned. Now, right after that declaration, motorists that used the road said that the road was done. I used the road, I saw it, I knew the road was done. But it wasn't long before the road started developing potholes. So it was clear from the onset that work was not actually completed. That was first coat done on the road. Few months later, the road is entirely riddled with potholes. So today, you use the Fodome to Hohoi stretch, it's just unmotorable. It is one that you cannot have comfort using. So when he made the post, it was alarming. You realize that people who were commenting under the post, they were people who doubted the claim. They were people who, as usual, praised government for actually resuming work on the road. So this is what I had to do to verify the claim. The first thing was to call colleague journalists in Hohoi to find out if indeed there was any ongoing work on the road. The finding I got from there was that there was nothing as such. But then I still needed an independent verification to be done. So I had to travel to Hohoi myself using the Fodome to Hohoi Road. And indeed, from the pictures you can see and the visuals on the screen, there is nothing happening on that particular road. And so the claim from Mr. Elikem Sewodo who happens to be a former organizer of the MPP in the Keta constituency, and also a member of the MPP communication team here in the Volta region. I tell you also that Elikem is a known social media communicator for the MPP and has a huge following. It's the reason why it was so important that we check this claim so that the public who is actually consuming whatever he posts on social media is not misled. Vanessa.
Dan, you took some videos today too. I hope that we can see that video if it's ready now.
So yes, so the visuals you see are visuals I took just today. Just today. So there is no work ongoing on the Huawei Road. And so the claim is absolutely false. There's nothing like that happening.
Road, did you take photos? Do we know anything about that?
Photos, yes, we have photos. Photos that clearly indicate what we are seeing
so
in terms of the videos on our screen.
So, in short, you're saying that the Kiki Road is also not under construction, as Elikem wants us to believe. Is that right?
The Kiki's court stretch is just a portion of the road.
Okay.
And that is when you are almost entering the Hokwe Township. And if you look carefully, take a closer look at the visuals, you realize that there is that part of the road that there are still bitumen surface on it, but then with potholes. That's the part of the road he referred to as the Kiki's court stretch of the road. And even there, nothing is happening. So if you check the visuals carefully, you realize that even though the entire stretch of the road, parts don't even have anything in terms of bitumen, the stretch in front of the Kiki's court has bitumen surfacing, but with potholes all over it. And that is what was actually done in 2020. So between 2020 and now, nothing has been done on the full domain Hokwe Road.
I see. Faisal, thank you so much for your time. My colleague Faisal Abdou-Idrisu with the developments there. Now, let's just make things simple for ourselves. Let's try to rid ourselves of this uncertainty. And so let's run the factometer to see what the claim really is, whether it's true or it's false. Said by Elikem Sewodo, indicating that the road has been constructed or was under construction, is false. The factometer does not lie. Now, we collaborated with Dubawa on Facebook, and this post has been branded false, as you can see rightly beside me. And this is the reason. It says that independent fact checkers say this information has no basis in fact. You can choose whether to see it. Well, we choose to unsee it because we don't want to bridge ourselves with uncertainties. And so, Natalie, that does it for the maiden edition of Factometer here on GHOne TV. And in subsequent broadcasts, we'll bring you more. We'll fact-check details put out by politicians as to whether they are false or true. That does it for this edition, Natalie.
Thank you so much, Vanessa Tutu-Adan. So there's certainly a much-needed initiative we've introduced here on GH1 News, particularly in an election year where we're likely to have a lot of false news. You're watching News Tonight. Do stay with us. We've got business news next. In business news this evening, as part of activities to mark its 2 decades of pioneering innovation and excellence in the private health insurance sector, Glyco Healthcare, a leading health insurance company, has launched several initiatives aimed at enhancing healthcare access and quality across the country. There's more in this report.
Glyco Healthcare, a leading health insurance in Ghana, has launched its 20th anniversary for being at the forefront of innovation and excellence in the private health insurance sector. In commemoration of its 20th anniversary, Glyco Healthcare has introduced initiatives such as the Retirees Health Plan, a continuous professional development training for service providers, a blood donation exercise, and donations to 2 major government hospitals in Accra and Kumasi. The Group Chief Executive Officer of Glyco Healthcare, Edward Fokwo-Che, said Glyco Healthcare operates with integrity and adheres to the best industry and governance practices, aiming to sustain their reputation as the preferred private health insurance provider for years to come.
Just like every business, the initial stages was quite slow, but it's been very wonderful. We're set up to provide health insurance services, and we happen to come in at a time when the health insurance bill, or I would say act, had been promulgated in the country for the first time. And there was nobody to look up to. We came in, and by God's grace and with dint of hard work, we've been able to work We've been able to provide quality service. We've been able to provide to the expectations of our customers, and this is how far we have come.
The Chief Executive Officer of Glyco Healthcare, Mami Efriye Boache, explains that the introduction of the Retiree Health Plan is a testament to the unwavering commitment to meeting the evolving needs of their clients.
Glyco Healthcare has proactively developed a special plan for our golden years. I am delighted to announce the upcoming launch of our Retiree Health Plan, a testament to our unwavering commitment to meeting the evolving needs of our customers.
The Chief Executive Officer of the National Health
In more business news this evening, members of the Locked Up Investment Holders Forum have vowed to persistently picket at the Ministry of Finance every Wednesday until the government responds to their concerns. This decision stems from their previous protest on March 27, 2024, where they called on the government to declare 4 distressed financial institutions insolvent and compensate them for their locked-up funds. Affected customers are urging young people to refrain from investing in financial institutions and instead consider investing in property. There's more in this report.
The aggrieved customers, who are mostly pensioners, are distressed. For the past, various sums of their monies running into millions of Ghana cedis have been locked up in 4 distressed financial institutions duly licensed and regulated by the Bank of Ghana. Upon several petitions and protests, the members grew weary and took a break, but have now resumed picketing at the Finance Ministry. This time, they have vowed never to rest until their grievances are addressed.
You are not showing respect. Remember this video, you will leave it all. So you want to tell us that you've not received any reminder, you've not received any letter to this effect? We have sent letters, reminders upon reminders since last year.
Dr. Edu Anani Entry is the convener and highlighted the deliberations between him and a Deputy Finance Minister, Dr. Stephen Amwa.
I have briefed him. He now understands the issues. He will go and find the letter. The petition, I've told him the petition was delivered by me, myself, to the office of the minister, so it cannot get missing anywhere, plus the reminder. So he's going to take it up and have a discussion with the minister and give me or give us their response as soon as practicable. I've told him we are coming here every Wednesday, and therefore, if we get a response and the response is such that we don't have to come, we won't come. If the response is not what will let us not come here, we will come.
One of the affected customers, Ronnie Odey, advised young people not to invest in any financial institutions, but rather consider investing in property instead.
I've been asking them to give me my money back for over 2 years without success. And the plan had been, I'm currently on pension, and the plan had been that when I come on pension, I would use proceeds from my investments to supplement my income because I still have children in school.
Well, more on this development and other business news available on our website, starfm.com.gh. You're watching News Tonight Tuesday. You're welcome back to News Tonight. Now, on the EIB Election Hub, we go to the Northeast region. You can call it a homecoming for the flag bearer of the governing MPP as he took his campaign tour to his home. The Northeast region, the tour saw the flag bearer engage with chiefs, the clergy and young people in the community, where he promised his government would focus on youth unemployment.
Scores of excited party supporters welcomed Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, the flag bearer of the governing NPP, into the Northeast region on Monday. His first stop was at a meeting with traditional rulers of the region at the Nalerigo Senior High School, where he told them to drive his campaign to be Ghana's next president.
Campaign ma northeast.
Dr. Baumia met with the clergy where he clarified his comments on paying churches instead of taxing them.
The church is the foremost development partner of government. Is the foremost development partner of government. The church and faith-based organizations. Why do I say so? You look at the number of schools the churches have built. Look at the number of hospitals the churches have built. Look at the number of universities the churches have built and the faith-based organizations have built.
The height of his engagement was at the Youth Connect in Wale Wale.
People, very good news is coming. Very good news is coming. Very good news is coming. And that is why you should keep a good government in office.
At the engagement, the participating youth asked questions on employment, among other pressing things. Responding to the questions of the participants, the NPP flag bearer said his government will be focused on creating jobs for young people in the country.
We are going to be a government that is pro-youth, to make sure that the youth are well taken care of and we get the jobs. We have invested more in TVET education than any other government in the history of Ghana. We have put in 6 billion Ghana cedis in TVET institutions over the last 7 years. 6 billion Ghana cedis. This is the highest investment in TVET by any government since independence.
His engagement with the youth did not end without the flag bearer.
Now, the 2024 election campaign song is in full swing, and as expected, aspirants for various political positions are taking to stages in urban centres, markets, ghettos, countryside, schools and churches to share their message and win over the populace. But here's the twist. Many candidates are now incorporating dancing into their campaign strategies. Dr. Baumia is leading the pack, followed closely by Alan Tremonting. Surprisingly, there hasn't been much dancing from John Dramani Mahama this year. Well, we've compiled videos showcasing some of the best dance moves. Who do you think is busting the best move? Well, who do you think is busting the best moves? They're quite a tight competition, really, between the three of them. Now, before we draw the curtains on tonight's bulletin, on the international front, some top news as Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico has been shot, dead and wounded in a life-threatening condition currently. We'll bring you more on that subsequent bulletins. It was produced by Jojo Kobna. I'm Natalie Fort.